Breaking news on ABC News Live. President-elect Donald Trump just announcing that he will, in fact, nominate Robert F. Kennedy Jr. to head the HHS. This is something he posted on Truth Social just a moment ago. He said, "I am thrilled to announce Robert F. Kennedy Jr. as the United States Secretary of Health and Human Services." I want to bring in ABC News senior White House correspondent Selena Wang for more. So, look, Selena, this is something that had long been thought might actually happen, and now we're hearing from Donald Trump on Truth Social about RFK Jr.'s appointment to lead Health and Human Services. Wow, this is really interesting. So bring us up to speed here, perhaps, on how this finally culminated and the announcement that we're hearing today.
Yeah, Kata, we've known for days now that RFK Jr. was under consideration by President-elect Trump for a possible major role in the administration. We also know that RFK Jr. has been spending substantial time with Donald Trump, advising him on possible health appointments. But this could also be a long road ahead for Senate confirmation, as we've been talking about these more controversial picks. RFK Jr., he has pushed debunked conspiracy theories around a whole range of public health issues, including around vaccines. He's even said that he would push to remove fluoride for drinking water. He's also a critic of the CDC, and Donald Trump said earlier this year on the campaign trail that he would allow RFK Jr. to, quote, go wild on health. And in his Truth Social post, I just want to read to you part of what Donald Trump said. He said, quote, "For too long, Americans have been crushed by the industrial food complex and drug companies who have engaged in deception, misinformation, and disinformation when it comes to public health." Now, it's been quite the journey for RFK Jr. He's a former Democrat. He was running as an independent against Donald Trump. Then earlier this year, he dropped out of the race and formally endorsed the president-elect. But many within RFK Jr.'s family have been deeply critical of him, and they have distanced himself from RFK Jr. He comes from this storied political family. In fact, the day that he decided to drop out and endorse Donald Trump, his family said Bobby's decision to endorse Trump today is a betrayal of the values that our father and our family hold most dear. But now RFK Jr. set up to have a major role in Donald Trump's cabinet. He is part of Donald Trump's inner circle. The question now is the road ahead for confirmation.
Absolutely, and you have to imagine that this may be another one of these picks here that has a hard time pushing through, so it seems like we're almost adding to that list here of candidates that he has chosen that might have a hard time being actually confirmed. But one thing you mentioned there, you remember when he endorsed Donald Trump, that was a pivotal moment in this election and in this campaign for Donald Trump. But prior to that, Selena, if we take ourselves back to the Republican National Convention and that phone call that went public that those two shared, in which vaccines actually came up momentarily in that phone call.
Yeah, and RFK Jr. made a big part of his independent presidential run around solving issues of chronic health, as he has pushed a lot of controversial and sometimes conspiratorial views on issues of public health. So this is drawing concern from officials within public health agencies who are concerned about how he could lead to a major overhaul of their agencies. And this is something that we've seen reflected in several of Donald Trump's cabinet picks. These are people who want to break things, change things, overall things. It could indicate sweeping change here, Kana.
Sweeping change here. And so, Selena, as we sort of unpack some of these nominees here that might have a hard time getting through, now we have RFK Jr., we've talked about Tulsi Gabbard, we've talked about Pete Hegseth, and of course, top of the list there is Matt Gaetz. In terms of what that looks like in Congress as they try to sift through some of these confirmations, I mean, how does this kind of add to the list and perhaps embolden some of the voices that we're hearing on Capitol Hill that are not in support of these nominees?
Yeah, and Kano, we've been on the air together all week as we've really seen this roller coaster ride of various appointees from the president-elect. And earlier in the week, there was some hope that he might go with more traditional picks, conventional picks, people like Marco Rubio for Secretary of State, people like Mike Waltz for National Security Advisor. But clearly, this is Donald Trump's cabinet. He is picking people who he believes are most loyal to him. He's picking loyalty over experience, people who he believes will carry out his demands without a lot of pushback. And these are all major tests of loyalty with the Senate Republicans. They will be under immense pressure, especially for MAGA loyalists, to get these confirmations through. There are also questions about whether or not they circumvent this process altogether with those recess appointments. But you do have a different makeup in the Senate now. You have a different leader in John Thune, and it appears that he's not going to immediately just cave to Donald Trump's demands. So this will be very very interesting as we see how this plays out. And we have on camera several Senate Republicans who say when it comes to somebody like Matt Gaetz, they don't want to go along with it.
Absolutely, and it's also interesting when you read through Donald Trump's Truth Social post here, he really sort of reiterates some of the things that we have heard from RFK Jr. Over the past few weeks and really months, going on to say that the HHS will play a big role in helping ensure that everybody will be protected from harmful chemicals, pollutants, pesticides, and pharmaceutical products, as well as food additives. So this is certainly an interesting pick, but it may not be all that surprising given that we have heard his name floated out there time and time again. As we bring in ABC News Deputy Political Director Avery Harper for more on this. So, Avery, it just seems almost every day here for the last couple of days, every hour it is, you really have to keep your head on a swivel because these nominees are coming down awfully quickly, and they sort of started with one that you're hearing a lot of support of, frankly, with Marco Rubio. And then as that list sort of starts to fall, the concerned voices seem to be growing louder.
Right. We've seen some of the most controversial picks in the last 24 hours of some of these folks. When you think about the Defense Secretary nominee, Hedgeseth, and you think about Matt Gaetz, who is nominated for Attorney General, and now you're seeing RFK Jr. for Health and Human Services. Listen, I think about 4 years ago when I was covering the Biden transition, January 6th, I was still covering new cabinet nominees. And so I think this record fast, this lightning fast pace that we're seeing the Trump transition move in, it reflects the urgency that there is to move forward on Trump's agenda. You know, we are heading into Congress where we know Republicans will have control of both the House and the Senate. And midterms, even though we just got done with the presidential election, midterms are just around the corner. And we know that Democrats are going to be looking to regroup, trying to take back control of the House and perhaps even the Senate. And so there is a real urgency in terms of moving forward on Trump's agenda, and I think these nominees that we're seeing reflect that.
All right, Avery Harper and Selena Wang, our thanks to both of you.